Hello my friends, this is day 20 and just like on day 10 I wanted to take this opportunity to pause for a moment and not to stop but just to take stock and have a look at where we are. Since the last interlude on day 10, something has changed and it feels subtle but it also feels like it's very real. And I think by that I mean that the daily rhythm feels way less fragile, for want of a better word. So whenever I sit down to do these and record an idea on the OP1 field, it doesn't feel like a decision anymore. It just feels like a place that I return to. It's beginning to feel just like a very natural habit. And I think some of the elements, if I sort of zoom into that idea, is that decisions are sort of coming to me much quicker. There's sort of less second guessing about things and less overthinking, and trusting the idea of enough way sooner. And I think that the way that my brain is processing that is that I'm not trying to make better things every day necessarily, just truer things, more honest things. And so this isn't going to be some sort of linear graph or path or line where every single day marks some sort of objective improvement on the previous day, because obviously that's not how motivation and inspiration and creativity works. But that's why I sort of return to that idea that I floated in Interlude 1, which is of this being like a train journey, and every single day and every idea is almost like a stop on this particular train line. And the exciting thing is that we don't know what's going to be at every stop, and we don't know what the final destination of this train route looks like. But that's sort of where the excitement and the fun comes from. One thing I've learned since the last pause, since Interlude 1, is that this whole thing only really works if it's allowed to bend. So some days are fast and some days are quiet, some are silly, like with Fig's tune, and some are really just showing up. So obviously in this burst, in the last 10 days, I've been really ill and I've had time constraints because it's been Christmas and New Year and there are social gatherings and there are family obligations. We've had a change in the voiceover style, and this is almost like the OG original voiceover style. And of course I incorporated the 5-minute challenge for the Mass Rapido days over the weekend. I think my point here in having this sort of under the umbrella of letting it bend is that every time I've let the format flex instead of be at risk of snapping, the practice survived. And that's the most important thing with this, is we've gone over the whole something is better than nothing and just showing up is enough. And I think those things are really important. I think part of that whole philosophy is you have to be willing to bend and flex with your own natural creativity and motivation and inspiration and lack of all of those things. And if you can bend and flex when things aren't feeling settled and aren't feeling as naturally creative, then there's more chance of the habit of being creative to any degree surviving. So constraints used to feel like massive pressure to me. I've spoken before about why I took such a massive break from music, and it's essentially because of burnout and pressure and the pressure that I put on myself. But with this, the constraints are now beginning to feel like permission, rather than feeling like I am getting the worst of certain decisions. So looking at the cloud rather than maybe the silver lining. I'm now seeing things like speed as clarity and limitations as focus and fewer choices as relief. And that's a huge about face in terms of my own philosophy and my own creative outlook. So when I've imposed in the last 10 days that 5-minute challenge, it's actually been an opportunity to think really clearly about what I'm doing, as opposed to pressured and over-encumbered by the lack of time that I have. And this all harks back to the limitations of the OP1 field itself. And it's really interesting because somebody, I think on the very first video, so on Genesis, there are maybe 1 or 2 people that suggested that the OP1 field is the incorrect piece of equipment for what I'm looking to do here. And I think the last 10 days has really reinforced that actually the OP1 field is the perfect tool for what I'm doing here, because the limitations and having those fewer choices compared to, say, using Ableton or Logic or anything like that has really helped to just keep me in a box and really allow me to play and experiment and just have fun whilst also learning how to use this thing. I'm learning, especially in the last 10 days, that discipline doesn't have to be harsh to be effective. Now, somewhere along the way, this stopped feeling like something that I was doing alone. Obviously, Steve is the real star of this show, but genuinely speaking, he has become a shared character. He's not something that I've just created and made up and something that I own. He is a part of the community, and that community doesn't just focus around me or indeed around Steve or Fig and Nana, but it is a collective. Not only am I seeing so many positive comments on every single video that I put up, but I'm seeing positive comments from the same people, the same recurring faces who are coming to each one of these station stops with me on this journey. And I absolutely love that. I really, really do. It's so magical to me to know that this is something now that we're sharing, that this isn't just me on my own, that I don't just feel watched anymore, I feel accompanied. And that's such an amazing feeling. And the support from all of you guys is so great, because I think anyone who's creative can identify with this, that when you create something or you even think about creating something, you have no idea whether what you're doing actually has any value beyond what your brain thinks its value is, or your heart thinks its value is. So to do something this vulnerable and this scary is actually sharing spontaneous moments in my head or my heart and have people say, hey, this is actually quite cool, has been incredible and continues to be incredible. So thank you so much. And so yes, I feel very, very grateful for the Field Notes by Kai community. Now, of course, I don't know exactly where this will all end up yet, and I'm not trying to define it too early. I think the most important thing is to still show up and to still continue and to still create, and to do that without any grandiose promises, no massive plan, and to just focus on continuation. And that's not to say that we are not doing the thing that I've set out to do. I will be releasing an album in 2026, and you guys will be a massive part of curating that. The core element to really help with sustainability is to just say that for now, the commitment stays the same, to just show up, make something, and let the shape of whatever that something is reveal itself. Right, my friends, well, this was Interlude 2. The notes, of course, continue tomorrow. Thank you so much for being here. This week, we'll be cracking out one of the new EPs that I've got in my mystery box haul, and of course, seeing how to integrate that with the OP1 field. So I hope you'll join me as the week goes on. And of course, to all of you who are already celebrating it and will do over the coming hours, a very, very happy new year. And I will see you in 2026.